What is happening in there? J Gaming Dude here, and Far Cry 7 is supposedly at work at Ubisoft at the moment, alongside a multiplayer spin-off game. Now, all this article goes into, in terms of details, is that we know it's ditching the Dunia engine, which it's been using since Far Cry. It's never used it for Far Cry 4, Far Cry 5, Far Cry 6. I just can't remember if it was for 3. In favor of the Snowdrop engine, which Ubisoft Massive are using. Is it Massive? The guys that are making Division, they're the ones that are using it. So that's all that's happening at the moment, or anything that we know about in regards to this game. But I can't help but think, like, I'm feeling really sort of apathetic about the whole Far Cry series, because 3 was definitely like the pinnacle of the series, and I don't think any other game has come close. 1 and 2, which is kind of like, 1 was more of a shooter, less about the exploration and the green lush areas of the island. Then you have Far Cry 2, which was an improvement, added multiplayer. Now you've got 3, which kind of like ditched the original, the way the game was kind of presented for a more open format. So you could like walk around, go wherever, do stuff. It felt like a natural progression, and then since then, 4 being on it's supposed to be like Nepal, but not really. With a villain where they're just trying way too hard, and then 5 was just with the fact that it took place in America. It made everything seem a lot more brown than it had any reason to be. Because the thing is that I only just recently finished playing Far Cry 5. I got the Platinum Trophy, got a decent amount of the DLC trophies, and now I'm kind of looking at the game and being but the thing is that I didn't kind of have fun with the game. The game wasn't as fun as say Far Cry 3 or Far Cry 4. But still was Far Cry 4 even fun? I think maybe only 3 was fun. So as time has gone on, games I don't feel like I even need to play Far Cry 6. I'm probably going to at some point just to figure out what Ubisoft are doing with Far Cry, but it's a Far Cry from what it could have been, especially with 3, which was kind of the pinnacle for the series, and I don't know why they're making more unless they're able to improve on things or change things substantially or make it genuinely good location or time frame. Locations are what the game has these games have been about to some extent, sometimes the villain as well. Far Cry 3 was the only one that had a good villain. Far Cry 4 just was trying way too hard with Pagan Ming. Far Cry 5, religious nutter. Joseph was not a memorable villain. I'm pretty sure I'm going to forget his name fairly quickly, as I did multiple times throughout my playthrough. And Far Cry 5 just felt very empty, and it was way too structureless. That's one of the most important things, is it had no structure to it. And you might think, it's an open world, what would you expect structure from? But the thing is that, at least you can go to a place to trigger the next mission. But the thing is that the mission comes to you, and I was just thoroughly confused for the most part. Was there much point in making the whole game really confusing, including the ending? Who knows? And I'm talking about, the canon ending of Far Cry 5 and not some of the other ones, so I don't want to spoil that for people who haven't played it since it came out in 2017, I want to say. So yeah, I'm feeling incredibly sort of disheartened by the fact, I was excited when they said Far Cry 7 is happening, but then immediately afterwards I got hit with the sense of yay, but oh no, they're making another Far Cry. What is this going to be about now? What's the deal here? Are they going to try too hard with a charismatic villain? Are they going to, they've done with literally every game, which I think isn't going to be too much of a surprise if they do? What kind of locations are they going to try to pull out of their ass? If they're going to if I were to suggest a location for them, I would say, how you've got at Assassin's Creed, you've got sort of, Rome, you've got, different locations like Venice and stuff. Make a Far Cry game like they did with Far Cry Primal. Make a Far Cry game in, say, a time in which Assassin's Creed had taken place, somewhere in like ancient Egypt or somewhere like Rome, ancient Rome, you know, ancient Greece. Yeah. Even if they did do that, it would still be a Ubisoft game, and that I think is probably where the biggest problem with them announcing another Far Cry goes. Because having played, say, Riders Republic for only 1 hour during the demo period, it was fun to play through, don't get me wrong, but then after 1 hour, I closed the game, walked away, and I felt empty. I felt dead. Like, I was not feeling anything from this game. So I don't know what to feel about this. And it seems like many of the free-to-play multiplayer games that Ubisoft have been making was to try and make a multiplayer spin-off game for the Far Cry series. But the thing is that it hasn't happened yet because they spun it off into something completely different altogether, not related to Far Cry, which is why we haven't seen it done with the series as well. So, if Hyperscape was somehow supposed to be Blood Dragon, but multiplayer spin-off, then that's unfortunate. That would have been very, very unfortunate. Because then there would be even more of a black mark on Far Cry than Far Cry 5 was. Actually, 4 wasn't great. And actually, you know what? Primal was the worst Far Cry, in my opinion. Because it's just an erroneous blob of like things to do, but it doesn't feel like there's any sort of structure. It doesn't feel like there's any cohesion. I feel like I have no reason to be there. It just exists. Like there's no fail state, there's no win state in terms of like how things go, because there is no narrative. You'd say that whatever like constitutes the game, like whatever starts the game constitutes a narrative, but at the end of the day, you start somewhere, you end somewhere, and none of it in between feels like it's worth a tinker's cusp. But yeah, I'm feeling down on Far Cry 7 because I don't think Ubisoft have it in them to make a good Far Cry game after 3. But let me know what you guys think. Am I being way too hopeful in thinking that Far Cry is going to actually come back and be genuinely good again? And when I say genuinely good, I'm talking like really fun, putting in like good music, having genuinely like different objectives, having a great location that people would want to explore, actually putting in interesting, like just putting in some sort of interest. Like if they took the entire map of Far Cry and made it like a tenth of the actual size and turned it into like Yakuza, I would be over the bloody moon, because I love Yakuza. Yakuza is such an interesting series. All the areas are so small, but it's densely packed with things to do, and the variety of things are insane. And that's something Far Cry is missing. It's going straight for make the world as big as possible, but then what the hell do you fill in it when you do make it that big? What do you put in it? Are you going to put in another Pokemon game? Are you going to put in another Five Finger Fillet? But they're both going to be in the same building, and the map is bigger than 3 or 4 different villages, so what's the point? So yeah, whatever you guys think about Ubisoft, about Far Cry, chuck them into the comments below. I'd be interested to see if I'm the only one, or if anyone else feels sort of like excited, but not because of how Ubisoft have been as they've existed for the past 10 years. Oh god, I really don't have anything positive to say now that I think about it. That's unfortunate. But anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.